Hey everybody, this is Felicia with The Book is Done. Different, right? Got my hair out the wrap. It's going to go in a wrap. But I wanted to come and tell you about a book that I finished yesterday. Um, Still trying to get my head around what I read. It was a good book. It mm, it was a very good book. Um, the book that I am going to talk to you about is called Libitina by M.A. Savino. M.A. Savino, Savino. Libitina, Libitina. This book, I'm in several groups, book groups, um, on different platforms, and this one book came highly recommended. And I was just like, okay, something was telling me to just check out this book. So, for some reason, I'm reading more books on Kindle or like an ebook. I'm not a fan of it. Honestly, I need the book in my hands, which is why I haven't showed it to you because it's an ebook. But you will see the cover on it with the title of the video here in a few minutes. But um, this book, I was just like, let me go check it out. Let me see what's going on. So, y'all, by the end of the first chapter, because I went in blind, I had no idea what this book was about. I was looking at it, and you'll see what the cover looks like. It looks like it's the back. It shows the back of a young lady, and it looks like she's grabbing like the top part of her back, or like she's kind of going like this, but she's like grabbing the back of her neck. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go in this thing blind. We just gonna see how it is. Man, picture it. A woman is in the hospital, a couple, married couple, in the hospital, excuse me, and the main point of view of the first chapter is someone that would traditionally be called the Grim Reaper. So they are standing there in the delivery room. This woman is like actively, physically giving birth to a baby girl. And so as the woman is giving birth to the baby girl, the Grim Reaper is trying to take the soul of the newborn baby. But some reason, some way, somehow, I don't want to say he, but they are not able to take the spirit of the baby. Like the Grim Reaper is in pain, doesn't know what's going on. Like Grim Reaper can't feel no pain, they're dead, right? And so a whole bunch of pain. Grim Reaper doesn't understand what's going on. The baby still lives. Grim Reaper is like, this has never happened before. So the nurses, they take the baby, wipe the baby off. Baby's healthy, baby's crying. So the Grim Reaper was like, okay, well, if I can't have a baby, I'm going to take the mama. Takes the soul of the mama. All of a sudden, the husband is like distraught because they say, well, the baby made it, but mom did not. And the husband is like, what happened? What's going on? My wife was perfectly healthy. What's happening? And so they're just like, we're so sorry. And so like with the Grim Reaper, with this particular one, I don't know how they work, but in this book, they take the soul, and then it's determined, I guess, by the life's work of that person. If hands are gonna, it's like a circle, a pit, if you will, that opens up, and souls, demons that are in hell, they pull the soul under, or it's a circle, it's a light above, and the angels either walk alongside them or they invite them up to heaven. So the Grim Reaper just takes the soul. They don't determine whether they go to heaven or hell or not, but they take the soul out the body. And so the husband is distraught. And the nurses are like, we're so sorry. It's this one nurse in particular, Regina. She's there for the whole thing. And she says, you have a beautiful baby girl. And the husband is like distraught. He was like, I don't want her. I want my wife. I don't want no baby. I want my wife. If I had to choose, I would choose my wife over my baby. Or, I just don't want the baby. So she was like, it's okay. I can only imagine. But you know what? I'm so sorry about your wife. Your daughter needs you. I don't want her. his name is Mr. Yarrow. He says, I don't want her. Do what you want with her. I don't care. I don't want her. And so, like, they were just like, okay, well, at least they're trying to comfort this man. And it's just like, okay, well, just hold your baby. Do you want to name her? I don't want to name her. Like, absolute hatred towards this baby. My face. Fireworks, y'all. So he says, I don't want to name the baby. I don't want to name the baby. I don't want the baby. So in my mind, I'm just like, don't leave this baby alone with this man, because there's no telling what this man is going to do, if he's going to do something to this baby. So the nurses put the baby in his arms. This man is trying to, let me just say, I'm sorry. There are numerous triggers in this book. Crazy amount of triggers in this book. Serious triggers. The first one I've already spoken about, and I'm so sorry I didn't say this beforehand, is it is death during childbirth. That's a big one in and of itself. You have grief that stems from that. I trying to think. There is, I guess you could say, like, domestic violence a little bit, but it's enough to make your head spin. And then there is like verbal assault, verbal abuse, not in like a sexual way, but definitely a demeaning way. And then, gosh, it was so much that was going on in this book, y'all. I can't even. I'm still trying to process the book, so I'm sorry. But there are triggers. If you are prone to or sensitive to different things of that nature, murder, just different types of abuse, please read what this book is about before you start to read it, because it will trigger a lot of things that you're aware about, and some things that you are not aware about. But alcohol abuse is chock full of triggers. But in all things, going back to the hospital, this man like tries to smuggle his baby, like he tries to kill the baby. He's like, I really don't want the baby. And so he plays it off smooth when the nurse came in, and like the baby starts to cry, and like in the background the Grim Reaper is all throughout this entire book, like just on standby, like just in the room. The baby can pick up. Baby knows when the Grim Reaper is in the room. Like, just picks up on these spirits, picks up on angels and demons, and it's a very, very spiritual book. I think that was another one of the surprises that kind of got me, was that it is very much so a spiritual book. I don't want to say I will say it's between good and evil. I guess you could say that. It does talk about God. It talks about heaven and hell. It talks about demons. Talks about angels. Spirituality. Like it's a lot. You have those that are doing vigils in here. Some that try to, they talk about prayer. They talk about, trying to perform an exorcism. Things of that nature. So it's very, very spiritual. Was not expecting that, but the man plays it off smooth and trying not to kill the baby. So when the nurse comes in, so the nurse is like, let me take the baby from your hands, let me just show you what to do. He was like, I don't want this baby. So she was like, you know what, let me get, child assistance in here, child life in here. Let me get a social worker. He's like, I don't want that. I don't want the baby. So I don't know if this is like I have a feeling this is either in the hospital or a few days. That's one thing I will say. One of the biggest takeaways about this book is that you don't know the timeline as to what all is going on, as to how much time has passed, how old the girl is, how many years, how many months, how many weeks has passed. You just have no idea. It's like you just kind of have to go with the flow, because they seldomly talk about age. like when they're talking about different things. Like it's not until you're reading like maybe a page or two inside of the chapter where it's just saying, 5 years have went by now. 10 years have went by, since the spirit or since the Grim Reaper has come to see me. And it's like, good Lord, how old is this child? Because I mean, I've lost count. Is she 35? And it's very, that's the only thing that got me, was that I didn't know how old this child was. And so, just within the first chapter, first chapter, he was like, I still don't want this baby. I don't want this baby. And social worker comes in and, they're just like, babies are a gift. And he was like, not this one. This one killed my wife. I don't want this baby. I don't want her. She's death. And so they said, well, you have to name the baby. He said, I don't want the baby. Like, stop trying to give me the baby. I don't want the baby. So some way, somehow, he finds out that he gets money in taking care of the baby. So from his wife, I think he got like $750, $750 a month. And then in taking care of the child, it was like double that. So he was just like, oh, I'm finna get like almost $2,000 worth in taking care of this child. Let me show interest in saying that I want to keep her. So they was like, okay. And he didn't say any of this to the nurses, but they were just like, okay, so what's the name? He was like, you know what? I got a name for her. Libitina Rose Yarrow. Libitina means death. She is the bringer of death. That's what she is, and that's what she'll always be. And that's the end of the first chapter. Mic drop. What? You legit called this baby, gave this baby a name that means death? What? Child, I had to take a moment. I read this book in like maybe 3 days. After that first chapter, I was like, you know what? I started the book at like 2 o'clock in the morning. So I was like, you know what? Let me just pause for the calls, because this book finna be good. This book is about to be off the chain. Still didn't go back to read what the book was about, nothing. And so I'm steady reading along with the book, and come to find out, this book, in the beginning, it gives you vibes of Boss Baby. And when I say Boss Baby, I say it the movie Boss Baby. I say it in the effects of how the baby, it was like a grown man in a baby's body. You know what I mean? Or like the spirit. So it was kind of like the same with Libitina. And I say that because as you're reading the book, the Grim Reaper, is following the baby for whatever reason. He's obsessed with this baby. He can't understand that, anytime when he's around her, he just feels this, or the Grim Reaper is around this baby, they just feel pain. They just feel absolute torment when the baby screams. They are like being torn apart by shreds, right? So anytime the baby, if you know babies, newborn babies have like nails that can be like razors. And so anytime when her nails, Libitina's nails, would cut somebody, she would take it and put it in her mouth. Like, blood is on her fingernails. Like, and she would take it and put it in her mouth. And they were just like, no, don't do that, that's gross. And every time they tried to clean her hands, she would scream. And the Grim Reaper is like, make it stop. So the Grim Reaper is going in to like different bodies and stuff to see what their thoughts are, to see what's going on. And so Regina is like this nurse, and she was like, you know what? It's something about this baby that is special. I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it, but this child is special. And so the social worker by the name of Jack comes in. He's just rude because, he's just like, I don't want nothing to do with this family. I really could care less. Something's going on with the baby, but whatever. Like, the dad, he just does his job to the bare minimum. Regina is just like, I'm going to continue to watch this child because it's something about that dad that I don't like. And I feel like I just need to be there. So the nurse goes above and beyond. She ends up getting fired because she wants to ensure that Mr. Yarrow is taking care of the child. Like, it was one instance where they were doing, I want to say like a well check. And they weren't even doing a well check. It was a babysitter. He got a babysitter want to say her name was Emma, and she was watching the baby. He didn't change the diapers. So it was like severe diaper rash. Like it was to the point where it was child neglect. Like the people, Child Protective Services were called, and the the babysitter, she took the baby in to the hospital and was like, I want y'all to look at this. This is not normal. And for some reason, she was scared of Mr. Yarrow. She was just like, please don't tell him that I brought her up here, but I'm just a babysitter. I'm not this baby's mother. She needs something. She needs ointment. She needs Boudreaux's butt paste. She needs something, but the baby has severe, I mean, like severe diaper rash. So luckily, Regina is there and she sees this diaper rash and she's just like, what in the what? So they get Mr. Yarrow involved. Mr. Yarrow is livid. He is pissed. He was like, nobody, he starts cussing out the babysitter. Nobody told you to bring my baby up here. You went behind my back and said X, Y, and Z. So that furthermore lets Regina know, like, hey, you don't have this child's best interest at heart. I'm gonna watch you. So they have him go to like this support group or whatever. He was like, I don't need no group. Like he is just very non-compliant. So time goes on and he's going to this group. Come to find out he's talking to this young lady in the group, tells the group that both the wife and the baby died. He doesn't even tell them that his daughter's still living, like just single life. And so in all things, Regina loses her job because Jack, the baby, Regina wants to adopt the baby, but she can't because of her position. And my heart went out to her because that would so be me. Like, I would want to adopt anybody that's in that position. Like, we gonna make it work. So, she was just like, Jack, the support worker, or the support, the caseworker, social worker, excuse me, do your job. Like, put the baby up for adoption and find a suitable family. Jack wanted to do the bare minimum, so she was like, you know what? I'll do it. Don't worry about it. I'll do it. So, long story short, Libitina gets adopted by the Alvarez family. It is three of them. It's a married couple. It's Lola and Hector, and they have like a 3 or 4-year-old daughter named Fabiola. And so Jack was concerned because they were of Hispanic descent and he was scared that they were going to teach the baby Spanish. Very discriminatory, whatever. So Regina was like, they're a loving family. They will take care of this child. So long story short, again, they are able to adopt a family or adopt Libitina, and they're taking care of her just to see if she's a good fit. They fall in love with her. And they know they're a very, excuse me, they are a very religious family, right? So, I mean, they go to mass, they pray, they give back to the community, they take care of people. They're really good people, genuine people. So, they know that something's going on with Libitina because Libitina, and I mean, she's a baby. Like I said, I lost count of like the years and stuff because they don't say 2 years later or 5 months later or something like that. So I'm assuming that she's still an infant at this time. But they notice that she stares off in the distance a lot. And they're just like, what are you staring at? Who are you babbling at? And the Grim Reaper was just like, Libitina is frustrated because she can't put into words what it is that she wants to say. And so I believe by the time Libitina, or they call her Libby for short, is like 2, she's 3. They enroll her she was in pre-K. They get her tested for like intellectual testing and all this kind of stuff. She tested like as if she was up there with Albert Einstein, and Cleopatra. They literally specifically said that in the book. So she's super smart, very, very gifted. And so, I mean, and she was holding back because she was saying, again, boss baby vibes, was saying how she said, I've known how to talk this entire time. I just had to hold back because they would have been like, you're 3 and you're saying the word procrastination. What? And so, they realized that she was gifted. they realized that she had gifts and that she could, she's very, very spiritually gifted. And so the story goes on, and it comes to a point before, like while she was still a baby, Mr. Yarrow has Emma to watch the baby for like 2 weeks while he gets on his feet. Meanwhile, he's getting to know this young lady in the support group. So I don't know what happened. I want to say Regina goes to the house. No, Emma comes to the house because Emma is like, okay, I've watched this baby for almost 2 weeks. I'm just a babysitter. You got me watching this child full time. He didn't even come to check on her, call on her, nothing. So she pulls up to the house, and all of a sudden she hears all of this arguing. The door opens, and the young lady that was in the support group, Mr. Yarrow, shoots and kills her point blank range, like just straight kills her. And he comes out, starts screaming at Emma, you told her that I had a baby, and then I had to go and do this because she wanted to have a family. Woo, woo, woo. He goes into this whole rage. And next thing you know, Emma is chasing, like running in the woods, trying to get away. I don't know how they ended up in the woods, Jesus. But I think they were in the house or something, and she ran out the house, out the back door, and in the woods. He chases them in the woods. He shoots and kills Emma. The baby, it's a baby. She can't do anything. So he literally has the gun and tries to shoot the baby like 3 times, like point blank range. Tries to shoot the baby. The gun wouldn't work. So I don't know what, I forgot. I was so wrapped up in this. Some way, somehow, Mr. Yarrow comes out into traffic or something like that, or he gets in a car or something like that, and he's driving. In all things, he gets caught because one of the, I guess like it was traffic or something, and they heard gunshots, and Mr. Yarrow gets out, just road rage. Man gets out the car like, hey man, I'm gonna need you to chill out. He comes out with his gun. He chases Mr. Yarrow. He sees that he shoots at Mr. Yarrow, I guess like at his feet or something like that. He hears the baby crying. He hears Libitina crying. So he goes into the woods. He sees the baby. He's chasing Mr. Yarrow. He's just like, he sees that the babysitter's dead. So he calls 911. They get Mr. Yarrow, put him in jail. They take the baby back to the hospital. Regina comes back into the mix. That's how the baby is adopted. Started that whole process with the Alvarez family. I know this is super long, but this book, it was a lot that was packed in this 450-page book. So, she's adopted. Family knows that she's gifted. And they know they can't see anything. They can't see the spirits. They can't see the angels, the demons, nothing of that nature. But they know that whenever Libitina speaks, it's stuff going on. Like it's just, and they've learned not to question her because they've noticed different things that were happening, not in a scary way, but in a sense where they were just like, okay, this is more than us. This is definitely spiritual. They felt like she was an angel and that she was super protected. Those that were on the outside looking in felt like she was a demon, and that they were just like, you're here to do the enemy's work and all this kind of stuff. So it was like good, bad, back and forth, all this good jazz. So, Libitina is growing up and she's realizing that she has all of these different powers, and not to say powers, but she's able to talk to demons. She's able to talk to angels. She's able to talk to different Grim Reapers and things of that nature, because the Grim Reaper would just be standing there and she's just like, what do you want? I don't want to talk to you. And her family was like, who are you talking to? And she was like, just the dark. She called him the Dark One, or she called the Grim Reaper the Dark One. And so she gets older. They realize that, she's very gifted. Very, very gifted. So you're reading a book, and it's different things that are happening. Regina, is there to the end. Regina, I guess you could say Regina has been like her adoptive aunt, if you will, or a godmother. And so they become close. Regina, it's just really, really a good book. I'm not going to give all the intricate details about it, but towards the end, and I think this is what blew me away, because this is what made it so so real. So real. Another trigger, um, violence, a mass shooting. Um, at the end of the book, basically, Libitina throughout this whole time was saying she didn't know what her purpose was, but God told her that he wouldn't tell her until she got older what her purpose was. And so she just kept going, she kept going, she kept going. And it wasn't until something extremely tragic happened where she was just like, I need you to explain what it is that you have me to do. And out of a massacre, she's the only one who survived. And she was in the hospital and she leaves the hospital. And the biggest thing that I got was she said, I have faith, just not hope. And when I tell you that thing resonated with me, it resonated with me so much because you hear so many people nowadays that are just like, I believe I don't have the hopelessness, and it was heavy. It was so heavy. And she realized what her purpose was. And in essence, she was saying that God gave her the decision to either choose life and death for humanity within the world. And I mean, it was real. It was scriptures in there that she referenced. And it was like, you couldn't tell if she was talking to you like in real life or if this was the book. But she was like, I don't know if people would view me as the fifth plague, or the fifth horseman that speaks about, the different bowls or the different horsemen in Revelation, for those of the Christianity religion. It's in the Bible. And so I was just like, this is really real. And this is really, really, really heavy. And it makes you think like, okay, for those who have seen The Fifth Element, the movie The Fifth Element, Bruce Willis, Chris Tucker, Mila Jovovich, I forgot her name, but she plays Lilu. So in that movie, towards the end, when Bruce Willis is holding her up so that she can be the fifth element, before the meteor hits the earth, she was like, what can you tell me about love? He's holding her up, and the minister was like, tell her that you love her. And she, it was like it made her believe. That's kind of like how Libitina was. Like the world was coming to an end. Like actively, like World War III had started in this book, and Libitina was just seeing everything. She said she had two wings. One wing was black and the other one was white. And she could see both sides. And so it was like she had lost all hope in the world and lost all hope in humanity. And she was like, every time that somebody sinned, I felt it. Anytime, every time that somebody sinned, she felt the pain. God had her to feel the pain. And she was saying like she didn't have any hope in society. But then it was like Regina, her new husband, she had a baby. Oh, I forgot the baby's name. Hope. You just have to read the book. And so Libitina, I guess she's flying in the air and she's seeing all of this stuff. She sees all of this destruction. And one thing that she sees below her are people gathering to pray. And she was like, it's too late. It's too late for the world to, come together and pray. God is passing judgment on these people. Like, when I tell you this book got real, this book got real. Listen, I was like kind of borderline almost in tears because towards the end, because the things that were happening, the things that she was saying, this stuff is legit going on now. Whether y'all believe in God or not, whether y'all believe in Christianity, whether y'all believe in the Bible, whatever, y'all cannot say that this stuff is not happening, like different wars and different famines and all this kind of stuff. I'm not going to get into that discussion. We can go there, but this ain't the segment and the platform for it. But every time you turn on the news, I mean, the biggest war that we know of here in the United States, and there's others too. But like, for example, the war between Ukraine and Russia. Then you got the Hamas, and you have the Israelis, and it's just so much going on. It's so much going on. You got all of this sickness going on. Yes, it's been going on for years, and all of this, but it's like more and more and more. And, it's just different things that are happening. And Libitina was like, God is fed up. God is done. God has given everybody so much time to try and make it right and do right by people, and humanity's failed. And when I tell you this, before getting to the end of the book, the complaint that I had about the timeline was like the biggest thing that I had. And I was like, man, I'm going to have to give this book 4 stars. Man, when it got to the end of that book, y'all have to read it. Like, supernatural stuff, when someone says that they read something like supernatural, paranormal type stuff, it's like, one would think of like ghosts or something like that. This right here, if anybody had to say anything about it, I don't want to say it was like spirituality, but it was, angels, demons, heaven, hell, God, demons, like all of that stuff is in this book. And so if you decide to read this book, go in it with an open mindset, and just read it for what it is, because it is a good book. I want to read another one of her books. I forgot the one that she just came out with, I believe like 4 months ago. Someone had suggested it, but it said that it was very explicit. I don't know if my little nerves can take that right now. This is the longest video that I've done on a book, but when I tell y'all, read the book. I want to say that she has like 5 other books that she's written before this one. And then so the book that she just came out with, so she has 7 in total. But in all, this was the first that I've ever heard of this author, the first that I've ever read. I'm definitely going to read another one. I just have to get my nerves together. And go from there. After this book, you definitely need like a happy-go-lucky, cheery type book, because I was like, man, I need to read something like a Mitch Albom or the Christmas book of romance, something, because the weight of that book, I haven't read a book that heavy in a minute. And so I will definitely say to read that book. Like, baby had me around here looking for a Disney book. You understand? Like, I was just like, I need to read something to just, get my nerves right. So I'm still reading The Boyfriend by Frida McFadden. For some reason, I'm taking my time with that book because I know I'm going to inhale that book, but I'm rapidly getting there. I'm reading The Mistletoe Promise. I'm about halfway done with that. It is now 10:27 p.m. If I give myself time, I'm going to finish that book tonight too. I'm also reading a book called, it's a short book. I want to say it's like a novelette. It's called I See You, The Killing, by J.D. Barker, I believe. Not J.D. Barker. I forgot it. J.D. Baker. There we go. And it's like 53 pages long, but I'm on like page 33. So more than likely, I'm getting ready to finish that tonight. I have 2 arcs that I'm still working on. Witness 8 by Steve Kavanaugh. There we go, Kavanaugh. And then I want to say it's called Hit and Run by Marley Garcia, which is an arc. I'm trying to take my mind off this book, but baby, when I tell you this book was worth it, this book was worth it. It was very hard for me to put this book down because I wanted to know what was going on. I wanted to know what was happening next, who was going to try Libitina again. Like, very, very powerful. So if you've read any book by M.A. Savino, let me know. If it's along the lines of Libitina, let me know. But in all things, definitely go check it out. I'm going to see if I can get a few copies to put in my bookcase, my bookstore, Reader's Love, so that people can buy it from me. But in all things. Again, the book is Libitina by M.A. Savino. This is Felicia with The Book Is Done. I'm so sorry this was 35 minutes, but it was so worth it. I hope that y'all have a great evening, and I will holler at y'all later. This is Felicia with The Book Is Done, and I'm out.